Wolf, what is up?
My ire, basically, that is what is up right now. How about you, Luke?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Here, let me call timeout. I know I'm not holding a basketball, but I'll just call it anyway, and it'll count.
What are you saying right there? LeBron James got the favor of the Zebras in that situation? The officials, the referees, whatever you want to call them in the NBA, ladies and gentlemen, that call or non-call, whatever you want to, whichever way you want to look at it, that sucked buttermilk.
Well, you say whatever you want to call them based on what I'm seeing people call them online. We can't read any of those
Okay,
names
good.
for them.
Of course not. Keep it classy, Phoenix.
We'll get into the call in a little bit. Let's set that aside for a second and just focus on the actual game itself, the environment itself, the intensity level of the game. Well, if I got to be honest, watching that game last night, it did not feel like a regular season basketball game. Some of that is because it's Suns-Lakers. Like if that game last night was Suns-Blazers in the in-season tournament, would not have been the same. Well, you know the intensity level wouldn't have been as high because DA would have been playing.
See, this is the thing that really has. You were going to say something?
No, that was it.
Finish.
I said all I needed to say.
You know what? Honestly, this was the thing that really caught my attention on this Space and Earnings. It wasn't the game, of course. It wasn't how it finished. It wasn't the call. It wasn't the miscommunication between Grayson Allen and Kevin Durant that drove me crazy. That allowed Austin Reeves to drain a three. It wasn't that, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't on any of that. What my number one takeaway from last night was the fact that, man, it felt different, this in-season game. I know it was the Lakers. I understand that. But it felt different, didn't it? The intensity level. You could see it, and it wasn't me feeling it. It was me feeding off what I was seeing, the intensity level on the floor from the players. They have bought in on this whole thing.
They have, and now I want to see where it goes from here because I think the single elimination format is huge, and you wouldn't play a best of 3 or 5 during the season anyway. But I think the single elimination tournament part of it is huge because, you know, a team like Indiana's not beating Boston in a best of 7. But in the in-season tournament, they can win a best of 1, and they did.
Yes.
And I think it's nice to have everything not always go chalk in the NBA like it typically does. Less so now than it did a few years ago, but it used to be you knew it was going to happen by December. You knew how the whole season was going to play out, it felt like. There's that. There's the fact that you had Kevin Durant and LeBron James playing in a game last night for the right to compete for something neither one of them has ever won. And there really isn't anything either one of them has ever won at this point. But this is new, so neither one of them had won it. There's a lot of talent on the court. It was Suns-Lakers, and I'll be interested to see because Booker looked like he was hurt for a second. KD looked like he was hurt 2 different times. They kept playing.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if they're playing on Friday when the game is just back to being 1 of 82.
And see, that is one of the things about it that I enjoyed so much. It was the intensity level that was obvious. It was so easy to see as you were watching this game. First of all, the fact LeBron James actually played in a game in which he was listed as questionable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And played like the whole game, it felt like.
Exactly, right? So, you know, we were talking about that yesterday, my brothers, going into this game, that, hey, if LeBron James does play, I wonder how many times he's actually played when it was questionable out there anyways.
40 minutes he played last night.
40 minutes he played. The bodies were hitting the floor as early as the end of the first quarter or early second quarter.
Yeah, and not, I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but it wasn't role players' bodies hitting the floor. It was the superstars of this league bodies hitting the floor. And a lot of players hitting each other in the face throughout the game, too.
And you could see it, the physicality as well. Unfortunately, the effort and physicality underneath the glass, in particular, on one end of the floor, was certainly transparent, wasn't it? You could see easily. The Lakers had an intensity level that was higher than the Phoenix Suns, and that bothered me. But you could see it. It was there. And hands as well were active from the get-go. How many deflections did you see on both sides? How many deflections did you see in this game?
How many times did Devin Booker get hit in the head? How many times did Anthony Davis get hit? Yusuf Nurkic got hit. He didn't get hit in the head. But
man,
the stat that stands out in this game that was, to me, it's not even to me. There's no way to deny this was the difference maker. we can throw them all out there. We can throw out the turnovers for the Suns in the first half, the fact they went on a 14-0 run in the second half, the fact that Devin Booker didn't shoot like Devin Booker again for the second time in 3 games. Or I could just throw this one at you, Wolf. The Lakers attempted 27 more shots.
What?
That's it.
Okay. 27 more shots. Honestly, it was even worse, Space Sonians, at the half. 18 more shots at the half the Lakers had taken. You got to be kidding me. What is going on?
How were they even in a position to get screwed by a bad call at the end of the game?
See, and that's the thing that I keep coming back to. You know what? The bad call was there. Okay, LeBron, it wasn't a timeout. What are you talking about? There was no possession by the Lakers, and you're giving LeBron, you're granting him the timeout as the ball's rolling on the ground. There is no such thing. Right? Okay.
The ball was like rolling towards Venice Beach on the I-10. And
do you notice how high up here I am right now? The intensity level.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
We're talking about a game in December,
but
man.
that doesn't, you're not a good barometer because you come in here intense 5 days a week.
Well, okay.
When you're here.
That is true. That is true. But still, I found myself at home going, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I know it's the Lakers. And whenever the Suns play the Lakers, there is a little contour to the season, is there not, brothers? Of course, there is. But there's no denying what I was seeing on the floor. The Suns players, the intensity level that was there, the competition level that was there, man, the players felt it. It wasn't just the Lakers. It wasn't just playing they've already played the Lakers twice. It wasn't just that. It was the knockout round, wasn't it? Quarterfinals. I don't think there's any denying that, and that is my biggest takeaway, and that means the NBA was right.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah, and it's still evolving. You and I were talking a couple weeks ago, I guess it was last week. You got to do something. Like, it's easy, even if you're not a Suns or Lakers fan. It was easy to get into the Pacers-Celtics game the other night. I don't know how easy it'll be for me to get into these games now that the Suns lost and the Lakers are still in it. But in general, when you get into the knockout round, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I see the court. I understand what's happening here. If they win, they're going to Vegas. If they win on Thursday, they're going to the final. It's that group stage where there's a million different numbers, and
that's it.
Hey,
that's where I was getting lost.
You're up by 18, and there's still 2 group games to go. You better hoist along 3, which is ultimately how the Suns got in because Booker was smart enough to be aware of that. And they ended up getting in by a point in point differential over 5 different teams. They got to do something about that. I don't know what the answer is. I'm more of a point out what you're doing wrong guy as opposed to giving you a solution.
Yes,
so I'm going to do that right now.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a good one too, Luke. That was a good stick in the eye right there. But for me overall, yes, Mel, you wanted to say? No. Okay, you didn't want to say anything right there. Okay. The hands, again, how many deflections? I have never seen an NBA game where an NBA team was turned over 10 times in the first quarter.
Wasn't great.
I've never seen that before. Seriously. Have you seen that?
I'm sure I have, but I can't think of it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure at some point.
Maybe 10 turnovers for both teams.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
10 for 1.
I don't remember it, and especially not when it's 2 good teams playing.
You know what, honestly, I think I would remember that based on earnings. Now, listen, I busted up a lot of wedges in my life, okay?
Thank you to all wedge busters.
Thank you. You're welcome. That's all right. You're welcome. And loved every second of it, by the way. Loved every second of it. Okay, but I digress right now. I can't remember ever watching an NBA game where one team turned the ball over 10 times, had 10 turnovers in the first quarter. I mean, that's on pace for 40. Yes, I know, West Virginia. It's what I went to West Virginia. I understand that, but still, ladies and gentlemen, are you kidding me? That's on pace for 40 turnovers in a game. Can you imagine somebody turning the ball over 40 times?
Did you just basically say I took a class that taught me 10 times 4? Is that what you said?
I'm just telling you right now. Just brutal.
It was.
From the very get. 12 offensive boards for the Lakers as well. 12. How they started this game, and that to me was the game. How they started it and finished it, and that was the game. The Suns beat themselves.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.